The sun desperately trying to come through here at picturesque Oulton Park, about 15 miles from Chester in the woodlands of Cheshire. And what a super spot it is too. Quite a good crowd here. A spectacular circuit, one of the prettiest, I think, that we have here in the UK. Eagerly awaiting the 750cc race on this 2.7 mile circuit as the riders leave the start. The right-hander of Old Hall Corner is the first, dropping down the hill through the avenue towards the left-hander of Cascades before they accelerate along Lakeside with that water shot on their left. Left again through Island Bend to Shell Oil's hairpin, which is a banked, very steeply banked right-hander. Down through the chicane at Fulstons. Fulstons leads on to Hilltop, and then the very fast section of Knickerbrook. This, the quickest part of the circuit, right-hander away up the hill at Clay Hill, and the corner in the trees, Druids, away through the woodlands again, towards another right-hander at Lodge, down through Deer Leap. 2.7 miles, as I say, completes the lap. This is round 5 of the 11-round Super Cup Series, and at each of the 4 rounds thus far, there have been 2 races, just as today. Fogarty took a double win at Donington, Mark Farmer, Mallory Park, Snetterton went to James Hayden and Jim Moody. Jim Moody again at Donington, and Phil Borley on the very rapid Norton made it a Norton 1-2 in leg 2 at Donington. Title standings, Jim Moody then a clear leader from Matt Llewellyn, Michael Rutter, Phil Borley on the Norton with Ian Simpson and Mark Farmer joint 5th. The name of Mark Farmer appearing there twice. Mark tragically lost his life in practice for the Isle of Man TT some 3 weeks ago. To those many sentiments already received by Mark's family and friends, I would like to add our own sincere condolences from all of us here on Grandstand. "12 laps then, the front row, Jim Moody on the Yamaha in pole position. Ian Simpson, Ray Stringer on a very rapid Ducati. Matt Llewellyn, another Italian machine Ducati, and Phil Borley. So both the Norton men, Simpson and Borley, on the front row. Jim Moody then, his year has really come to fruition since joining the Yamaha team. He rode the Norton last year, won the 400cc TT in the Isle of Man, but out there with the series lead. A lot of work to do, but very much the fancied man. 25-year-old Scot from Del Beatty, carrying our camera, incidentally, or one of our 2 cameras today, Ian Simpson. Sadly, the Norton team might grind to a halt at the end of the 94 season. Let's hope not, because the bikes are as quick now as they have ever been. Middle of the front row, Ray Stringer, who parted from the Med Kawasaki team earlier in the season, has now got his own setup running. Ducati mounted, Stringer always a man to watch. Matt Llewellyn, since putting his leg across the Ducati, has also had a tremendous season. Very much on form now, number 6, Llewellyn, from Glenfield in Leicester. He'll be up there hunting and completing the front row. First year on the rotary engine Norton for the man from Southend, Phil Borley. He and Ian Simpson had a 1-2 first and second finish in leg 2 at Donington just last week. Riders preparing for the warm-up lap. Alongside me, as always, former Grand Prix rider, former British champion, Roger Burnett. He has a particular fondness for the 750cc Superbike class. That's really one of the classes in which he made his name. Roger, the entrance of the Ducati in this class has really livened things up. The Japanese no longer having it all their own way.
No, we don't have Fogarty and Whittam on the grid here because they're obviously on World Championship duties this year, but don't let that detract from the quality of the entry that we've actually got, because the guys here are doing very, very good lap times indeed. And that man there, Jim Moody, on bike number 2, he's going to be a real man to beat today. The Nortons have come strong. They've done certain development as the year has gone on, and they've become a threat to the Japanese manufacturers, and Ducati have become the major force. Ducati are very prominent on the World Championship scene, in this Superbike, this 750cc class, and they are now in England. We've got Ray Stringer there on bike number 5, Matt Llewellyn coming on there on bike number 6, and those are both Ducati machines, and they'll be going quite quick. The difference really is that they have a much better power to weight ratio without being too technical.
Well, as I say, warm-up lap, and then we really get into the serious stuff of the green light. Riders now, this will be a pretty tense time for them because they know that they have 30 miles of pretty frantic action on this sweeping technical circuit here at Oulton Park. Roger Burnett mentioned to me earlier that it's predominantly a car circuit, but it does have good safety margins for the riders, nice grass runoff areas, and one of our favourites here on Grandstand, I have to say. A very nice circuit to be at, and a circuit very much liked by the riders.
The riders will be keen to do this warm-up lap because they've had no warm-up practice this morning. Because of the regulations with the church that's very close to Oulton Park here, the riders have not been allowed to go out on the track this morning. This is the first time they've ridden their bike since qualifying yesterday, so they'll be a little bit rusty, a little bit apprehensive. The warm-up lap, of course, is used for them to warm the tyres, although they have tyre warmers on their tyres, warming them before they go out on the track, and to warm the brakes up, because this is a heavy braking circuit. There are many braking areas here, and it's important to get some heat into those brakes. You'll see them going hard on the first few corners and the first part of the track, and as they come back towards the start and finish, they'll knock the speed off, and they'll be trying to get as much air into the radiator as possible to cool the temperature of the bike, because these bikes, they don't want to be boiling over on the line, and if someone has a misfortune of a problem on the warm-up lap, then everybody has to sit there waiting, the temperatures go up and the bikes overheat. That's a fantastic shot there of Druids, which is a right-hander, 90 miles an hour through there. Look for the riders putting their knees on the road, and that acts as a prop. We'll talk about that as the race develops. I'll go back to Barry. I'm back to Barry now for the start.
Out of H.E.A.T then, the riders reform. The start line almost now in view, just weaving and getting the tyres warm. Very important. It is quite humid now. It was cold earlier on today. That meant it might be difficult for tyre adhesion, certainly in the early stages of the race. And as they leave the start, of course, they do hurtle into a right-hand bend, so it's vital that they feel their way around that first bend, particularly on cold tyres. It is trying to warm up, but still a good deal cooler than it has been in recent days. Vital for the quality of motorcycle racing that the weather is fine. Front row then, reminder, Moody on pole, Ian Simpson, Ray Stringer, Matt Llewellyn and Phil Bawley. 2 Nortons, 2 Ducatis and a Yamaha in pole position. Japanese domination really under some pressure here. We have a green light. All the riders away from the line, and a great start by number 2, Jim Moody, the pole position man. So the 4-cylinder Yamaha fairly leapt away from the line. Somebody's on the grass, but no, got away with it. Safely away they go down through the avenue. The left-hander then at Cascades. Moody, number 2. Now in second place, that's Ian Simpson, number 25, in front. Then it's number 6, Matt Llewellyn. So the front row men shaping up, but they have 12 laps to do. The full race distance, 33.6 miles. A good start, Roger, by the Yamaha man, but look at the Norton.
Nobody will be rushing about on this first lap because it's important to make sure the bike's working properly, the tyres are warm, and these things have a lot of horsepower, something like 135 horsepower at the back wheel, so one twist of the throttle with a cold tyre and the back tyre will spin. But look at the Norton there wriggling. That's Ian Simpson, young Ian Simpson, who's performing very, very well on the Norton indeed this year. Jim Moody in his wheel tracks with Matt Llewellyn in third, Michael Rutter, son of Tony Rutter, fourth, and the other Norton, Phil Bawley, in fifth at the moment. So it's Simpson from Moody. My prediction for this is that Simpson is going to take some beating because the Norton is particularly fast. and the Ducatis also are fast. I think Jim Moody will probably have the slowest bike of the first bunch.
25 Simpson leads then in the number 2, second place, the 31-year-old Glaswegian Jim Moody. Then number 6, Matt Llewellyn from Leicester. These three then easing away. This, the rider's eye view from the leading race bike, Ian Simpson. You can see the speed that they go down, the angle in the bends, almost unbelievable. In the bottom of your picture, the rev counter building towards 10,000 revs. There's a red line there, so you can see just how quickly the Norton motor is spinning, and when the rev counter needle drops, that basically represents a gear change. Shutting off now for the corner, Simpson. Roger, you're better qualified at this, I think.
Yeah, this is exiting from the Shell Oils hairpin, and we're going up to now towards the chicane. You'll see that the rev counter flick as he goes down the gearbox, right and then left here. The bike's going to wheelie in a minute, I've got a feeling. Yeah, just a little wheelie there, and then maybe again over there, yes. And this is down towards the fastest part of the circuit, Knickerbrook. And here we are back looking at him, and he throws it over into Knickerbrook at 120 miles an hour there. And it's Matt Llewellyn is in second place actually there now. So Jim Moody's down to third. So we've got a Norton leading a Ducati from a Yamaha.
The number 6 bike then, Llewellyn on the 926 Ducati Corsa, the 926cc, phenomenally powerful, very light, twin-cylinder Italian machine then. Llewellyn in second spot, broke his leg very badly in 1992 and came back pretty well towards the tail end of last season, but since, as I said at the very beginning, since riding the Ducati, he really has come into his own. Llewellyn going superbly well, currently in second place in the championship on 90 points. The man leading the championship, the number 2 Scot, Jim Moody, is in third place. Interesting stuff this, because 20 points for the win, 17 for second. It's not impossible, I know it's early days, Roger, but Llewellyn is riding well enough to take the title this year.
I'm very pleased for Matt Llewellyn, because it's the first year that I can remember when he's had really competitive machinery, and he really deserves it. He's a very nice guy, and he deserves to do well, and he's certainly putting the Ducati through his paces. We talked about the Japanese versus the others, and of the first 6 bikes, we've got 1 Japanese bike, Barry, in the first 6 bikes. That's incredible, and that's the fastest lap so far. Matt Llewellyn, we talked about him a lot, and there he is on bike number 6. He tried to challenge Ian Simpson there, and my prediction on the first lap that those guys, the first 2 guys, have got quick bikes, and Jim Moody on bike number 2 is going to struggle to beat them.
Race leader then, 25, Ian Simpson from Dalbeattie on the rotary engine, British-built Norton, designed and put together by the team engineer Brian Crichton. That team also managed by Colin Seeley, former international sidecar road racer, who's a man with a very good head when it comes to publicity. And the sad news is that basically that team will fold at the end of the year simply because there is no money to continue. Llewellyn, number 6, hits the front from the Norton. The other Norton is also there. They are really going well. Ball is in 6th. The battle now between Llewellyn and Simpson. Simpson, number 25, grabs the lead back again. Still the early stages of this race, Roger, but it really has come alive. Look at that Stringer then on the Ducati, also trying to get into the action.
Well, we've now got 6 bikes here challenging for the lead. They don't look so close on the straights, but they bunch up at the corners. And look at Ray Stringer on bike number 5 in third place. He's come from really 6th place there, and he's up to third. He's really charging. So Stringer on the Ducati, it's one of his, not his first race, but his probably second or third race on the Ducati. And he's really going strong. Moody's now relegated to 4th. Phil Borley there, number 30, just crest the hill in 5th. And Michael Rutter's beginning to be dropped off now in 6th place. So really we've got 5 bikes. Any one of those 5 bikes can win. So it's a 10-wheeler, Barry.
Third place man Stringer, he's in the position that he finished the series in last year. Although his number 5 denotes he might have been 5th, I can tell you that he was 3rd in the 1993 Supercup Championship, and he had a couple of second places both at Brands Hatch and Mallory Park. So Ray Stringer very much a man with a mission. He's in 3rd place on an incredibly quick Ducati. The Norton, which is at the front of the bunch again, with Ian Simpson on board, appears to be suffering just a few handling problems. It looked a little bit tricky there as it came out of Deer Leap towards the start-finish. So let's watch this 1, 2, 3, 4, 5-man battle with Phil Bawley, number 30, Simpson's teammate, bringing up the rear guard action. Pole position man, number 2, Jim Moody, is in 4th, and young Michael Rutter on yet another Ducati is in 6th.
Fantastic racing this for our opening event here at Oulton Park. The good thing is, the good news is that tyres are not going to play a part in this race because they're all using identical tyres, those 5 bikes. So we're not going to get somebody coming strong at the end of the race because they've saved the tyres or whatever. I would say that Jim Moody is probably riding conservatively at the moment, and if any one of those 5 riders has got anything in reserve, it will be Moody. Moody is the championship leader, as we know. He's got a comfortable margin. He's going to look to collect points because let's not forget, the series is all about winning. It's all about winning the championship, not about winning races necessarily, although Moody will want to win the race, of course. But they're all looking behind them now, and the answer to anyone's question is yes, they're close.
Well, you saw some smoke there just a second ago. There's some indication that someone's machine has dumped the contents of its engine all over the circuit. That could constitute a problem for the riders. There has been an oil flag, but apparently it's off the racing line. That's the important thing. So you can see just wide there's a dark patch. So one of the engines has dumped some oil there and a lot of smoke. But race leader, number 57, that's the engine which blew up. So that race is over for him. Simpson, number 25, leads. Matt Llewellyn side by side on the Ducati. So the Norton leads. There's another Ducati. Stringer still in 3rd. Then Phil Bawley has got the better of the number 2 bike, Jim Moody. So Moody now down into 5th. So Phil Bawley now making a move to close the gap on his teammate and race leader, Ian Simpson, number 25. The 2 926 Ducatis of number 6 Llewellyn and number 5 Ray Stringer. And Michael Rutter, you saw a yellow bike just on the tail end in the distance there. Number 8 Mike Rutter, also desperately trying to get on terms with this 5-man scrap. This is going to go all the way to the wire at the end of this 12-lap race, and I sense some fairly frantic action. Simpson then, a double shake of the right hand as he goes down the gearbox. Through into Deer Leap they go. Simpson leads still. Stringer now making a move on Llewellyn. Ray Stringer up into 2nd, yes! The number 5 machine of Ray Stringer then slots into 2nd place. Now we'll see some fireworks.
So these 5 men are the 5 men that qualified in the first 5 positions on the grid, be it all not in this order. And Moody goes up the inside of Bawley there, so I'd suggest Moody's got back up to 4th, and he has, so that's relegated Bawley to 5th. Is Moody now starting to make his move? No, Bawley's come back at him, and it's Moody back to 5th, so it's toing and froing all the way. Stringer's in a good position now in 2nd place. Stringer's very, very hungry for a win. Ducati mounted Stringer, Ducati mounted Matt Llewellyn in 3rd place on bike number 6, but Norton leading, and Ian Simpson really showing his hand here. Everybody suspected for a number of years that Ian Simpson could ride like this. He's now proving to us that he can. He's riding with a lot more maturity. He's still very young. He's in his early 20s, Ian Simpson. A great future ahead of him if he can keep this sort of form.
Well, the sad thing, as I said, if the Norton effort comes to a close at the end of the 94 season, then Ian Simpson, the number 25 rider, will be looking elsewhere for a team slot. And if this current form continues, then I wouldn't have thought that he would have much trouble slotting into a top team. Alternatively, if there's anyone out there with a cool £250,000 they'd like to invest to keep the Norton effort going, then I'm quite sure Colin Seeley would be more than pleased to speak to them. Norton lead, Stringer then number 5, Matt Llewellyn still challenging hard in 3rd, but the battle between Jim Moody number 2 and Phil Bawley is really hotting up. One of the riders out of that, does that look like Stringer? Stringer has gone. Ray Stringer number 5 has retired from the action, and there he is. devastating news. He was really riding well, a mechanical problem.
Yep, he's shrugging his shoulders, shaking his hands there. Obviously, some kind of mechanical problem that's forced race trigger out. Very, very disappointing indeed for him. That looked like it could have been a win for him. But now, look at the gap that Simpson's got. You see the Norton just lifted the front wheel, and the knees are on the ground. Watch for the knees. As the riders lean the bikes over, the knee touches the road and holds the bike up. They can gauge how far they've actually got the thing over. The slowest corner on the track, that. Cheryl's hairpin. And it's Norton from Norton. We've now got Phil Borley up to second place, Matt Llewellyn third, and Jim Moody fourth. So are we going to see another Norton 1-2, as we did last weekend at Donington Park?
One man worthy of a mention, although he hasn't featured, starting on the second row, double TT winner again, in fact 11 times TT winner Steve Hislop has now retired from this race. I thought you'd want to know that, because Hislop obviously a superstar on the true road circuits, but finding it difficult to come to terms with the short circuits on the RC45 Honda. Norton first and second though, and this really will be a shot in the arm for the Norton team. Brian Crichton has been experimenting with new engine internals on those bikes, and this is reminiscent of the early Norton days of Steve Spray and Trevor Nation, when it was in the all-black livery and they were very much having a 1-2 all over the country. Good to see, and it's also good to see the Ducati of Matt Llewellyn. But now Jim Moody, number 2, championship leader, determined to do something about the rotary engine machines in the distinctive yellow and blue livery. You are watching them now. Tail enders, though, ahead of Simpson. The tail ender, number 76, I think, was Richard Smith of Batley. I shall confirm that if I can get a glimpse at his number. It's difficult to see, but nevertheless, they've negotiated him very safely into Fulston chicane, and that's got the tail ender. But oh, and the tail ender in the way. It was indeed 76. It was in the way of Jim Moody there. That made Moody think, and that also got him right back into the clutches of Matt Llewellyn. Mike Rutterlip and a fall in there, the Kawasaki going end over end over end down the start-finish straight. Machine in the middle of the track, right on the racing line. No sign yet of flag action. The 58 Kawasaki there, who got it horribly wrong. That's Neil Williams of Wallasey. The red flag out, so the race will be stopped. The rider there was on the track side, but was moving his leg and indeed holding his leg. A nasty tumble, but as soon as we have an update on his condition, we will obviously bring it to you.
Well, the fact that the race has actually run 10 laps would mean that that would signify to me that that will be a result and that will stand. So it would be that Simpson won from Borley with Matt Llewellyn and Jim Moody fourth. That would be my prediction, but we'll have to wait for confirmation of that, of course. So you can see the riders going round there, and that's Ian Simpson. They're all slowing down. Obviously, the medical staff need to attend to the incident, and we have confirmation there that the race has indeed been stopped, and I'm sure that that will be a position stand.
In that case, then, race leader Ian Simpson, number 25, into the pits, having completed his 10 laps. That was right in front of the start-finish area. A tricky area coming out of Deerleap there. The bike goes a little bit light, and it's obviously the rider got out of shape as he came over the top of Deerleap. Hand in the air then for race winner Ian Simpson. That's how the riders finished. And after 8 laps, we have a confirmed result then. Simpson and Borley and Norton 1-2. Jim Moody brought the Yamaha home for 15 points. Llewellyn, Michael Rutter and James Hayden scraped in on the Honda in 6th place for 10 points.
That would mean